Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. I'm Kristi Shive, and this morning we're visiting with Kristin Hildabrand. She's Warren County's Extension Agent for Horticulture. Good morning, Kristin.
Good morning, Kristi.
Well, Kristin, you have some beautiful melons here for us today, and melons are in season.
Yeah, they are. So I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about melons and some of the nutritional aspects with the melons and a little bit about selection and storage, because there's always some things that we can take away from that. But you know, right now in season we are Melon Madness here in Kentucky. So we have cantaloupe or mushmelon. I know a lot of times people will use that term, and we also have watermelon. And when it's really hot outside, this is just a great way to cool off and enjoy a little bit of some fruits. So melons, you can particularly find them anywhere from July all the way to September. So depending on how your producers in your area at your farmers market, they can kind of do some succession planting and things like that. And you can talk to them about what varieties of melons that they do have. I know that there's different varieties that they know that their customers like, so they'll make sure that they have a nice succession planting of those. But as far as selection for these two types, what things do you need to look for in selecting cantaloupe and watermelon? So basically with the cantaloupe, Kristi, you want to make sure that you do look at the rind. There is some nice netting to cantaloupe on the outside that's a little bit different from the watermelon. So whenever you're looking at cantaloupe, look to kind of make sure there's not any dark blemishes on the outside. A lot of times you can kind of sense just from the skin how it's going to look. As far as the color though, what you can really tell if it's ripe or not is if you smell the end at the stem where it was connected to the plant itself. If it has a fruity fragrance to it, it's a really good cantaloupe.
Yeah, Kristin, this cantaloupe is so very fragrant.
Yes.
And so you taught me how to make sure that this was perfectly ripe.
Yes.
So we want this end right here to have that fragrant smell.
Yes. And like when we were cutting into it, when we were slicing up our cantaloupe slices, it was like, the water was just, coming out of it whenever you cut into it. So, just whenever you're preparing it, just go ahead and scoop the seeds out. Cantaloupe can be eaten in a multitude of ways. You can just slice it up like that and eat it for breakfast, but it works great, like even as a fruit tray. It works really pretty, for salads, or like I said, as a fruit tray option. It works really good as a smoothie if you want to check out a smoothie option there. And then too, sometimes people will cut into it and then they'll put in the half, they'll put like either cottage cheese, or they'll even put some chicken salad. So there's multiple ways that you can incorporate cantaloupe into your diet. The thing with both of these melons that I really want to mention is that because they're grown on the ground, there is some bacteria there. Before you cut into it anyway, you want to make sure that you wash it with warm water. And we actually use one of our little scrubber brushes here that we have at the office, and just make sure that you give it a nice scrub before you cut into it, because you don't want, when you cut into it, it's slicing into the flesh and then you're consuming that later. So just make sure you scrub it real good, and then make sure your utensils and your cutting board's clean, so that way there's no contamination.
Yeah, Kristin, we actually suggest for people to have a scrubber brush specifically just for their produce.
Yes.
Separate than their dish brush, because those bacterias really do build up, and so you want to make sure that you're taking proper care of that scrub brush, making sure you're washing it very frequently. Now, Kristin, you do have some beautiful watermelon in front of you.
Yeah, so we have some sliced watermelon. I feel like watermelon just works great, especially on a hot summer day. It's just very refreshing. It's good just to cut it up and actually put it in the fridge, let it get cool, and then you can consume it later. But there's a lot of good benefits with eating both the melons. It's rich in vitamins A and C. Watermelon has some lycopene, which is like an antioxidant that's really good. It's really good for consuming these produce now. And at the Extension office, we have some great resources, some recipes on how to incorporate more melon into your diet. I know there's a watermelon refresher that looks really good, and then we have a really good smoothie recipe for the cantaloupe.
Definitely, Kristin. Thank you so much for being with us today. And we are always encouraging people to check out their local farmers market and see the beautiful melons that they have right now. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Farm and Home Show, and we'll see you next time.